It's been almost 3 months since my last controller settings video, so it's time for an update. Hey guys, Nightfall here, and controller settings are like the crackheads on the corner of your local shopping plaza. They're always getting tweaked. And this season in FragPunk is no different. A lot has changed over the last 2 months, and especially recently since one of the newer updates, and I want to say it was the one back on July 22nd or 21st or whenever that happened, my controller settings just felt off. So I had to head back into the training base and readjust some stuff. Not to mention the addition of actual aim assist this season for PC controller players has definitely caused some changes as well. But before we dive into my settings, I want to show you first my stats for ranked from last season, then compare them to this season. So taking a look at last season, you can see after 622 matches played, I had a 1.6 KDA, a 44.5% win rate. It's bad, yes, I know. And the last stat you should draw your attention to is the 27% headshot rate. Now, if we take a look in comparison to this season, you can see that I'm almost at about half the games played. My KDA is up 0.2 and is now at a 1.8. My win rate is substantially better at a 52.1%, and even my headshot percent is up by almost 3%. Now, a lot of this I have to owe credit to the aim assist, of course, but the settings changes have definitely helped a ton. So let's head over to the settings and get the first thing that I forgot in the last video that I had tons of people asking me about, my field of view. I used to have this at 110, then I lowered it to 105, which is what I think it would have been at had I included it in that video. Then I lowered it again to 100, and now I've settled on 95. FOV has a lot of contributing factors that you need to consider before just blindly setting yours at the highest it can go. More view does not always equal more better. I play on a 27-inch monitor that I play about 2 feet from, so for me, 95 just seemed like a good compromise between being able to see what's around me and also being able to aim at what's directly in front of me. And what I mean by that is the larger FOV that you have, the more further away your enemy is going to appear on screen, which ultimately is potentially going to make it harder to aim at and shoot, mostly because the target is now smaller. So just keep in mind that FOV is not a one-size-fits-all setting, but let's go ahead and move over to the actual controller settings. And now keep in mind here that I am on PC recording this, so you may see some extra options that you don't have on console, but that's fine because all of the controller settings are the same. So starting off with my look sensitivity, this was the first change as this used to be 1.7, and then randomly one day, like I mentioned before, everything just felt hyper accelerated for some reason, so I've reduced it to 1.6. Inverted is off because, well, I'm not a psychopath, and I can't tell you the last time I actually played a game where the inverted settings were the default. I vaguely remember a game on, I think, Nintendo 64 that made the settings inverted and there was no way to change it. And for the life of me, I just can't remember what that game was. So if you remember a game, let me know down in the comments. But my Y-axis sensitivity is set to 0.6 because you just don't need to flick up and down anywhere near as quick as you do left to right. Now for my ADS sensitivity, I do have it set to per optic, and I have the 1 and 2x set to 0.4. So that's going to include all of your ARs, your SMGs, and your LMGs at both scopes, and also shotguns. And the rest here are set to 0.7. Obviously, these are going to be your marksman rifles and your sniper rifles. My input curve is still the same at 1.2, and I do have days where I feel like I want to go in here and experiment with this, but it would probably take me down a rabbit hole that I just don't have the patience or the time for. So there it sits at 1.2. Movement stick deadzone is set to 0.2, which I'll probably change at some point down to like a 0.1 or a 0.05 or something like that, because my controller does not have stick drift. It does not. I can put it through any other game, any other test, but for some reason, this game likes to gaslight me into thinking that it does. Then we get into the complex settings straight out of an Oxford dictionary, so I'll try to explain each one as simple as I can. Turning ramp up delay is the amount of time it's going to take from when you first push your right stick to the max point in any direction to start to hit the sensitivity you have set in the next 5 options. The turning ramp up to max time is similar in that it's still going to add a somewhat of a delay until you reach that max sensitivity that you have set in the next 4 options, but think of this one as more of a curve instead of a delay. If you have it set to 0, it's basically going to be instant minus whatever the delay you have set in the last set. But if you have it set to 1, after the delay you have set, it's going to slowly start to ramp up to that speed based on that 1 curve. So here you can see I have my delay set to 0.07 and my ramp up to max time at 0. And now for these next 4 settings, I'll do exactly what I did in my last video and just relabel these on screen so they don't seem as scary. So now instead of yaw and pitch, we have horizontal and vertical, and instead of not aiming and aiming, we just have ADS or not ADS. Keep it simple. They should honestly just change this in-game to look exactly like this. So for my horizontal while not ADS, I have it set to 0.6, vertical while not ADS is 0, horizontal while ADS is 1, and vertical while ADS is 0.5. These 4 settings just give you a little boost in addition to your normal sensitivity, but only when your sticks are moved completely in one direction, so like 100% to the left, for example. And as mentioned before, these values are dependent on the delays and ramp up times you have set in 2 settings above. Then we have the cursor sensitivity at 1.3, which is good for me when I play on console. You could even move this up to 1.4 or 1.5. This isn't going to affect anything in game. It's just your menu cursor speed. So like when you're in the main menu or even when you're selecting your weapon on the selection screen. When it comes to controller vibration, I always play with this off in any FPS game because it's just an extra thing, an extra variable that could possibly throw your aim off even just the slightest. And then obviously aim assist is on. Don't be a hero. I struggled through season 1 on controller with absolutely 0 aim assist against all these cracked mouse and keyboard players that had far better accuracy than I could ever hope to get using a controller. And even if you're on console, playing in console only lobbies, they're out there. Because for starters, on Xbox, this game supports native mouse and keyboard, which means they could just plug in a mouse and a keyboard directly to the Xbox, no third-party hardware, and play on mouse and keyboard. But above all, you know that there are those people out there using Zim that they brought over from Siege or whatever other game they used to play, and on top of that, all of the Cronus users. So don't put yourself at any more of a disadvantage than you already are by turning this off. Then if you want a quick look at my controller layout, this is what it looks like. Keep in mind, I do play using a Turtle Beach Stealth Ultra controller. Yes, that's what I said, Turtle Beach controller. You can go look it up. It's actually a really nice controller with a screen in the middle and anti-drift Hall effect joysticks. And it also has 4 back buttons that I use, one for jumping, another for crouching, another for push to talk, and the 4th one I haven't actually ever set, but I'd recommend if you have 4 paddles or buttons on the back of your controller, I would recommend setting that to your ping or your converter button. But those are my updated controller settings that have gotten me to Master 1, just shy of Punk Master in Season 2 of FragPunk, and I'm confident that in the next few days or so that I'll hit Punk Master, if not tonight. So if you want to see that happen live, be sure to check me out when I'm live on stream. I do try to stream almost every day on both Twitch and here on YouTube, starting at around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Sunday and Monday, I usually start a bit earlier, around 6 p.m. But hopefully these settings will help you out. I'd love to see if you're stuck in a rank now, what rank that was, and after you use these settings, where you end up, should you decide to copy them. But let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.